Welcome to Franchise Focus. I'm your host, Lisa Linkowski. I am also a certified franchise consultant, and I own Milestone Franchising. And Franchise Focus is all about talking to leaders in the franchise industry, and especially franchise owners, getting to tell their stories about how they came to franchising. And today in studio, we have Bill Alesio, who is the owner of Gym Guys of Bucks County. And welcome, Bill.
Thank you, Lisa. Glad to be here.
Well, I am very glad to have you. It's been some time trying to get you in here because life kept happening.
For sure.
And so I'm very, very happy that you were able to be here and get to talk about your story and how you came into this. So let's start from there. What's your background prior to becoming the owner of Gym Guys?
Well, this is a bit of a second career for me. I spent 25 plus years in corporate consulting, in a very specialized type of consulting. We helped companies with all sorts of legal and claims problems, resolve those issues on a national basis. So this current role is very far afield from what I did in my previous career.
All right. And so what led you to franchising? What made you transition into this world?
Yeah, I had a bit of a fitness transformation myself several years ago. Probably through my 30s and 40s, I was carrying a pretty good amount of excess weight, a lot of client entertainment, travel, late work nights, things like that. So I wasn't very consistent with my own fitness efforts. And, from a food intake perspective, I probably also wasn't very disciplined. So several years ago, I started a calorie counting app, MyFitnessPal, and I spent some time doing that along with my daughter, who had a knee injury and subsequently had probably put on a little weight herself. When we started, I had never done that before, and I was dropping 2 pounds a week with almost no effort. Like a lot of people, once I started feeling better, I started working out more, started going to the gym more consistently, joined some running races, 5Ks, 10Ks, built it up to, ran a couple of half marathons 4 or 5 years ago, and just felt better. And so when I started looking around for something after my consulting, because I just sort of petered out, lost interest in that field, I started looking at fitness franchises because I wanted other people to experience that sort of fitness transformation, and I wanted to get involved in a business that would help facilitate that.
Right.
So when I did, I looked around actually somewhat languidly. It took me a while to get focused on specifically what type of fitness business I might want to get involved in. Actually looked at a few brick and mortar gyms, a couple different brands that I thought made sense for me, where that were within my financial reach, and I got really close to opening a brick and mortar gym back in 2019, I believe it was. And when I ultimately didn't pull the trigger on that, I kind of went quiet for a few months, and then a franchise consultant got in touch with me and introduced me to a few brands. And I won't name all of them, but Gym Guys was one of them.
Okay.
And it attracted me because it was a unique fitness delivery model. We bring fitness to people's homes or places of work. And frankly, it was also a somewhat modest investment up front compared to...
Because you don't have that brick and mortar.
Yeah, you don't have the brick and mortar. You don't have a 10-year lease on space.
Sure.
And that sort of thing. So when I got involved, every bit of information that I gathered about Gym Guys, both from the franchise consultant and then the Gym Guys corporate team, led me closer and closer to taking that step. Now, interestingly enough, I got involved in mid-2020. The world was a bit unusual in mid-2020. Didn't really start the business until early 21. And what I would say is, in a sense, I lucked out. If I'd been in a brick and mortar gym, I'm sure financially that would have hurt in 2020, 2021. In this model, it's not entirely not impacted by COVID, but it was less impacted, and I
Less
think
impacted, sure.
so. From my own perspective, it's been an education, getting involved in a small business, owning a small business, even with the franchise support. Owning a small business is very different than working in a corporate consulting environment.
Absolutely.
So, for me, it's been an education. I have a few bruises to show for it, but I think ultimately, it has fit with my goals of getting involved in a business where you can change people's lives,
Right.
and you can, make some money if you're doing things right.
Okay. There's so many things that I want to now go after and
Good.
just dissect one by one. So, all right. So you started this business then in 2021.
Correct.
Okay. So in 2021, we're in the Northeast, still buttoned down quite a bit when you get started. I would assume they were doing some sort of virtual piece with this. Were you past that and then you were just able to meet with people in person?
Well, clearly, across the Gym Guys system, there's a lot of virtual training that was done during the kind of height of COVID lockdown.
Right.
And what I would say about my location is I started up, the personnel I had did not have a lot of experience with virtual training, so we didn't emphasize it early on. And luckily enough, clients were willing to have a trainer come to their home, train outside, in the garage, even in their homes with our people being masked.
Okay.
And we made an effort, rather than being 2 feet away from somebody giving them guidance on training, we made an effort to be, 8, 10 feet away.
Sure.
And give them similar guidance without the proximity. And for me, I was surprised at how much we were able to do in people's homes, but obviously pleasantly surprised as well. So as I built up business in 2021, I was somewhat shocked that it was kind of easy sailing, relatively speaking.
Right. Yeah. And
yeah.
again, it goes to the point that at that point, luckily, people were getting more comfortable.
Yeah.
They, the vaccine had come out, and they were just getting more comfortable and just wanting human contact on top of that.
Right.
So yes, I totally understand that. So you select Gym Guys, and you're saying that it was very different from the corporate arena, which is something that, as I talk to all of these corporate refugees that are running for their lives
Right.
out of corporate America, tell me one of the bruises that you encountered that you didn't expect, that you had no understanding for.
Yeah, I would say a couple things. One, I was used to hiring people in a corporate, with a corporate mentality, people that were coming to it highly, I would say highly ambitious, knowledgeable of what they were jumping into, very professional in how they interacted with recruiters, and all that. And what I would say about some percentage of the people that are candidates for my business now is, they're a little rough around the edges at times. Their resume writing skills, are often not at the level you would see in a corporate environment.
Sure.
But you would definitely have to say that just in terms of the whole recruitment process, I've been educated about what matters to them, meaning the candidates. I have to ignore certain, elements of how they go about getting in front of me as a hiring person. And I think the hiring manager in this role, whether it's me or somebody else, just really needs to dig in and understand what motivates this person, why are they involved in personal training or personal training management. You need to do a little bit of the work for the candidate in a way. You need to kind of dig into it and make sure that they're the right person, even if the initial impression isn't perfect.
Right.
You know what I mean? And in the past, we had the luxury of, hiring, I say in my corporate life, we had the luxury of hiring people out of top-notch business schools. They had a lot of polish. They were, highly motivated, achievement-oriented individuals. And not to say that there aren't people among the trainer ranks that are that way,
Right.
but the polish is different. Their familiarity with the recruiting process and interview process is less, it's sort of less sophisticated. But at the end of the day, we've been fortunate to find some good people. In my case, I actually spent about 15, 16 months working alongside a training manager, or territory manager in our vernacular, who was fantastic, both individually as a trainer, as somebody who could both describe and sell our services to individual clients, and even in a more local marketing context, interacting Chamber of Commerce or whatever other networking type things we did. He was terrific. Now, unfortunately, he left my business recently to kind of follow his girlfriend to Florida. She's an Air Force person, and she got restationed. So I'm working to replace him, and that will be difficult.
Right. Yeah,
So-
that is not easy when you find a good person that
Yeah.
you trust and that they're helping you get your business up
Absolutely.
and running, and
Yeah.
and then they're gone. So right now, Jim Guys of Florida right now is going, get me his name. I want to have
Yeah.
him come on board with me.
For sure.
So going back to the fact that you had this incredible fitness transformation, which, by the way, congrats on that, because that is something that so many of us struggle with.
Yeah.
I want to make it clear to the audience that you are not training. You're not going into the homes and you're not training. You may have had to have done it out of necessity.
Yeah, no, I'm not a certified
But you're
personal
not a
trainer.
trainer.
And many of the Gym Guys franchise owners do come from a personal training background.
Okay.
And, get into ownership of the business either directly by buying in, or some of them started in an individual Gym Guys location and then may have bought in later on. But
Okay.
I personally am not a certified trainer, so I am reliant on certified trainers both for our initial client assessments and certainly for the ongoing client training. So again, that puts a real premium on me making sure I can attract the right people and keep the right people in the business.
Right. So do you think that that has been a hindrance for you, that you were not that person that could go and be the trainer and go right into your clients, or no?
I think it is a bit of a hindrance, or, certainly financially, if I could do both, that's sort
Right,
of one
of
less
course.
person I have to compensate for that role. But even beyond that, I think it's a little bit of a stretch when you're talking to trainers or clients about, why you're involved or what your role is. I would say you might carry just, 10, 15, 20% more credibility into that conversation if you had a training background. But again, I've been a consumer of fitness services for
a long time,
30
and
years.
you've got a great story.
Yeah, and I have a why. And if I can get to the point with clients, particularly, or potential clients, about my, if I can get into the conversation about my why, they relate.
Right.
90% of them relate.
So many of the Gym Guys operators are that owner-operator model. You're doing an executive
Correct.
model
Yeah.
here, where you've got your staff and they're taking care of everything, and then you're managing. You're at that top level management piece on that. All right. So much more to talk about. We're going to take a quick pause right here, and we're going to hear a word from our sponsors, and hopefully it's not some amazing food commercial and we're going to be hungry. Stay tuned.
Hi, my name is John, and I started with Gym Guys during the pandemic. I seen an ad in the Bucks County Courier Times, and I was trying to help Bill in a way, get his business off the ground, but in turn help myself to get more strength, more flexibility in my life. I play a lot of golf, but I still need a lot of toning up, and I need a lot of flexibility in the golf game. So that was my idea, and so far it's worked out wonderful for me, because I have a wonderful trainer. I hope you meet him in a minute. He's more than kind to me as an elderly gentleman, if I want to call myself an elderly gentleman. And it doesn't overwork me. I take a 30-minute session twice a week, and after I'm done, I feel wonderful. I feel great. So onward I go with this program, I hope, and I'm going to continue working out as long as I can, and as long as I can stay healthy, I'll continue this.
Cheesy grooves. Flavor, flavor, flavor. Crunch. Cheesy grooves. so much flavor, it's a mind crunch.
Let's face it, lawyers get a bad rap. I'm Erin Brucey, host of Legal Breakdown, where we dissect legal topics for the everyday viewer, with a mix of interesting guests to talk about current events and hot legal topics. Let's work together to make the law accessible and relevant to everyone. Catch us every week on RVN Television.
Oh, baby,
Hey, look here. This ain't just stuffed crust. This is Papa John's crust, stuffed.
Welcome back to Franchise Focus. I'm your host, Lisa Linkowski, and sitting in studio is Bill Alesio, the owner of Gym Guys of Bucks County. And great segue, Bill, from the commercial that we just saw, which was this nice, big, beautiful, cheesy pizza.
Yeah.
So Gym Guys, tell us what this is, what this concept is, and what it's doing for your clients. How does it work?
Well, unlike a lot of different fitness brands, we are a 100% mobile fitness business. So we spend all of our energy bringing fitness to people in their home, in their place of business, occasionally in the local park, maybe a senior center, something along those lines. But we bring the workout, a certified trainer, and equipment, whatever equipment's necessary, to our clients. So, one of our internal and really external taglines is convenient, customized, creative. Convenient, bring it to their home. Customized, everything we do is based, like if you were our client, Lisa, we would come to you, conduct an initial assessment, which is free to you. Then when we get through that, we've understood your goals, we've understood where you are in your fitness capabilities, and we can recommend, we're not doctors, but we prescribe a fitness program for you that is appropriate for you. And the creative part comes in, we have a van with over 300 pieces of equipment in it, and we will change up your workout and the equipment we use with each client, every few weeks. And part of it is people, when people go to the gym, they get into a routine sometimes, particularly if they don't have, any real in-depth understanding of how to use certain equipment, they'll get stuck using the same equipment, doing the same workout. Your body needs to be challenged in different ways.
And possibly doing it wrong.
And possibly doing it wrong and hurting themselves.
Right.
And at the end of the day, we bring both that fitness education and a focus on helping each client in a customized way. That is a substantial differentiator for us. And when we do those things right, which, knock on wood, we'll continue to make best efforts to do that right for each client. When we do those things right, the client gets results, they feel better about themselves. Obviously, as a business, we're always hopeful for good outcomes and good word of mouth. But ultimately, it's about changing people's lives positively and doing it in a way that is convenient for them. A lot of our clients tell us the appointments, the accountability, you have an appointment at Tuesday at 7 and Thursday at 7 and Saturday at 10. Those appointments are a big part of what makes this work for them, because we have one client, Iwana, and she is of Polish descent, and she is so fantastic because she has a bit of an accent, but her testimonial for us was perfect. It's like, my trainer's coming, even if I wake up, I don't feel like it. He's coming, what am I gonna do? I have to train. In a very simple terms, that is the experience for a lot of our clients. They have had trouble, in some cases, being accountable and being disciplined and working out with frequency, and we make it easy for them. And the really big part of it is just that appointment, and we bring it to you. You don't have to get up and go to the gym. So a lot of barriers are removed to people staying on a good fitness regimen.
Right, and to the point of the pandemic, a lot of people still don't feel comfortable going into a big box environment. There are lots of people that do, and they're fine, and they're going there, but there are people that don't. Or there's the ick factor of cleaning after someone else that just used the equipment,
Yeah.
and there's that whole piece of it. So yeah, I totally understand that from the piece of, it's raining out, I don't feel like going to the gym. Oh, you're coming to my house and you have 300 pieces of equipment, which is incredible. So literally you're working out whatever it is that is needed, and rotating it, so because the body gets very used to
Correct.
if you stay within the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lisa, let me point out one other thing too. Before I got involved in Gym Guys, I didn't realize how many people didn't go to the gym, has nothing to do with COVID. Just they don't go to the gym because they don't like working out in a public place.
Right.
They're self-conscious or just uncomfortable with their understanding of workout.
It's intimidating.
It's intimidating, and so there are probably 50% of our clients, I would say, that would not go to a gym. In other words, doesn't matter if they encountered us or not, they just simply won't go to the gym. And it's unfortunate because most of that group would work out under the right circumstances, and we're trying to provide them with the right circumstances and the right opportunity to do it privately.
Thank goodness that you've tapped right into that population, right?
Yeah.
So
I've been
that's
shocked
great.
by how large a group that is, actually.
Oh yeah, no, I believe it, because it is. I've been through that whole thing, and it can be very intimidating, and I just would sit there and barrel through, but there's all sorts of other things that you just go, like you said, you can make a million excuses for why you don't want to go. 1,000,001, and I've done it myself, so I totally understand that. All right, so another thing I wanted to talk about, there are epic highs and lows with business ownership. So again, these corporate refugees that come to me, and they're so anxious to get out of corporate America. And I really talk to them about, the scared straight version of business ownership, so that they understand that it's exhilarating. I've been a business owner for 8 years now, and there's epic yay, and then there are gut-wrenching lows. And you've been impacted on a family, personal basis with back-to-back incredible issues that you had no contingency for, you had no plan, you're just trying to get your new business up and running, and then life happens. You want to talk to that?
I will. Sadly, late last year, both my parents were hospitalized. My father had been struggling with different health issues for a long time, but both my parents were hospitalized in September of last year. And sadly, we lost both of them in November and December. And, on a personal level, it was hard to get through beyond any expectation I might have had. But on a business level, as I say to a lot of people, if I'm not pressing the accelerator on this vehicle, it does not go. And I had a good training manager in place, and he was doing both client training and client assessments. But in terms of marketing, in terms of networking locally, a lot of things that I would have been doing just fell by the wayside for 3-4 months, really. And as you mentioned, I didn't really have a contingency plan for that. I didn't have enough of an infrastructure in place as a small business to, have people step in for me. And it was very eye-opening in a bad way, in terms of what can happen if you're distracted, ill, whatever comes up. So a bit of a lesson on, Murphy's Law is going to intervene at some point. You have to be prepared for those possibilities. And, going forward, I hope to do a better job of establishing roles and having the right people around me that can step in if, God forbid, something else happens. But in the corporate world, and I think you and I spoke about this earlier, I had people to support me. If I, for some reason, had to step out of the picture for a period of time, I had people to support me. Certainly, the Gym Guys corporate team, did everything they could and offered assistance, but they don't step in and run your location for you. And so they were great about it to the extent that they could be, but honestly, I went through a very tough period, both emotionally, but as it relates to the business, I had, my revenue levels dropped off significantly in, let's say, October, November, December timeframe. And I had to, as I told our corporate team, I essentially had to press the reset button in January and just almost start the process all over again.
Right.
And luckily this year so far has been reasonably solid and is getting better. So I think the lesson there is, you can, even if you stumble, you can get up and go and
Dust off.
make it work. But it clearly is a lesson in, if you're a small business owner, and you probably know this yourself, if you don't work it and be consistent about whatever it may be, marketing efforts, specific networking opportunities, anything, any of those kind of sales and marketing channels you might be using, if you're not consistent with them, you're definitely going to suffer, and the business is going to suffer.
Yeah. Well, number one, my condolences to you,
Thank
and
you.
thank you for sharing something so personal. Intestinal fortitude is the word that I use for business ownership, right? Because we only know what we know right now. We don't know what's coming 6 months from now. We have no idea. And in my franchise system, when I owned my franchise, and corporate would ask me to check in because they hadn't heard from one of the owners, and they'd say, well, my dog got sick, and I went out to brunch with my friends the other day, and or I played golf, or it was raining, and then they'd hear themselves, and they'd say, well, I own the business.
Yeah.
And I'd say, what do you own? What do you own? Because right now you're doing nothing and your business has not gotten off the ground. So you own something abstract, but you don't have a business yet.
Right.
And they would go, oh, right. And I'm like, yeah, you can't take your eye off the ball. Like, you've got to keep going and you've got to keep moving along, because like you said, in corporate America, you take a leave of absence. One of your counterparts would step in and try and do some of the work, or maybe you try and get some work done from home during that time or whatever. But this is just a dead stop when it's you.
No question.
And, and that's one of the parts. And it goes back to the labor issue. It goes back to your key trainer leaving, and now it puts you in a lurch. And boy, I'll bet you a whole bunch of TV sets are getting shut off and they're going, I don't want to own a franchise. That's not our intent, because guess what? Bill is still sitting here. He did shake himself off. He's doing much better this year, thank goodness. Knock on everything around you, right?
Yep.
And you're here. And that is the point, is that you've got to sit there, get right back up, and keep on moving. And get ready, because there's going to be something coming around the corner again. Hopefully it's going to be a while, but there's going to be something else, right?
It's a good lesson for myself, for sure, and for anyone who's a small business owner, certainly in a franchise operation, which again, I came to somewhat naively, meaning I didn't really fully appreciate my own need to focus full-time and focus constantly. And if there is a negative in this type of business ownership, it's the constancy of it. Meaning, I take phone calls at 8 o'clock at night from clients. I'll take phone calls at 6 a.m. from trainers. The constancy of it will wear you out if you let it.
Right.
But ultimately, the satisfaction of owning a business, helping some people get fit, and building something is substantial. So I would say, like everything, there are positives and negatives, but I think the general concept that I started with is still sound, and Gym Guys as a brand has been the right choice from a uniqueness, their core values, and just what we deliver to clients. I mean,
and there's hundreds of Gym Guys owners, right? It's a lot.
Yeah, I don't have the exact count handy, but we're all over the U.S. We've got some Canada locations. We've got some locations in the U.K. I know Josh York, our founder and CEO, is focused on growing us internationally. The corporate team has added, some strong franchise development people. So at the end of the day, I know as a brand we're growing. One of our West Coast owners was just got some award at the IFA conference, and just franchisee of the year. He's absolutely doing a great job. So we have some visibility as a brand. Good for the brand, good for me, in terms of recognition. Ultimately, though, it's about what you do locally, as you know. It's about what you do locally, and whether or not you get the good quality people on your team.
Right, that's it. And you mentioned networking a few times, and That is a critical component, and I tell everyone that. It is so important. In fact, we met because of networking through Steve Sable,
Sure.
right? So
Yeah,
shout
yeah.
out to Steve out there.
Yeah.
And because of networking, and it's critical. And going and doing the Chamber of Commerce and being at local, now that the weather's nice, local outdoor community fairs. And what else do you do?
Well, a couple of things. One, definitely thanks to Steve, and the Lower Bucks Chamber of Commerce has been outstanding as a place to support our business, go meet people, just add some visibility to what we're trying to do. We are proud, and we're proud to be awarded the Startup of the Year for the Lower Bucks Chamber of Commerce last year. So we were one of 6 businesses out of 1,000 or so in the chamber to get an award, a year-end award last year. So we're very proud to do that. With respect to other networking, there are other business associations that I'm looking at and that I really haven't gotten the opportunity to spend time with yet. Really, some of the events of late last year probably slowed down my efforts to get involved in a few more. But really, we'll do those things that make sense, both time investment wise and financially. We certainly, like I just sponsored the Yardley 5K, and they have a Memorial Day mile race. So we sponsored that. We try to get a little bit of visibility through those things. Naturally, anytime you get involved in a sponsorship opportunity, you're meeting new people, you're publicizing your business.
Right.
So some of them are little things, some of them are very purposeful. There's some harvest festivals in the fall that we're actually planning on getting involved in. But it has been challenging to do all of those things.
Right.
So I would say you have to be realistic about the time you spend.
The money.
And for me, one of the challenges is getting out from my desk and going to do those things. Whether it's going in the coffee shop and just sort of talking to the people in the coffee shop, maybe seeing if they'll put your flyers on the front counter. We actually just got a call. We put a flyer in the Smoothie King or somewhere, and I just got a call from a client, and she's fantastic. And I think her kids are in the same high school my son went to, and we had a great conversation. And she'll be a client before too long. And those simple little local things matter. Now, do they add up to enough volume to keep you growing? Not entirely sure yet. And digital marketing and other.
But it doesn't hurt.
No, it helps.
And word of mouth then happens.
Yes.
Because then she tells her friends, and then those friends that tell their friends, right?
Yeah. We didn't talk about this earlier, but one of the things that I really did, even within Gym Guys, was choose a location. I could have opened a business over in New Jersey, really 2 different New Jersey locations I looked at. I chose Bucks County because we were intending to move to Bucks County from New Jersey, and because I looked at Bucks County and I decided that it was a good demographic marketplace for the types of services Gym Guys offers. And that has definitely panned out. So, my advice to anybody else, thinking about opening a business, particularly in our case, a mobile business, in-home services, we absolutely have the right mix of people as potential clients in Bucks County. So Bucks County has been terrific for us.
Well, you heard that, Bucks County.
Yeah.
So listen, Bill, this time goes just like that. But those that are reaching out, you've heard this story. You want to go have Gym Guys come into your home and help you out to transform. Summer is here. Here is Bill's contact information. Or perhaps you want to look at working with Bill and you're a certified trainer that's out there. I'll bet you Bill is hiring. So please reach out to Bill. And thank you so much for coming in. I wish you nothing but continued success for the rest of this year and beyond.
Thank you, Lisa.
And I'm Lisa Lankowski. I am the host of Franchise Focus. I'm also the owner of Milestone Franchising. I'm a certified franchise consultant. You can learn more about me at milestonefranchising.com. And Franchise Focus airs every Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Thanks so much for tuning in.